Hi, I'm Kevin Ryan with A Place for Mom. Today I'm going to share everything I think you need to know about the cost of independent living. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of what kinds of costs to expect from communities so you can start planning ahead. I'll also share some of the most important questions you should ask about costs on community tours to avoid any surprises when it comes to that first bill. The first thing you should know is that the median monthly cost of independent living in the US is $3,100, according to our 2024 Cost of Long-Term Care and Senior Living Report, which you can find linked in the description. This is based on what real families who used our services paid to the communities they moved into. This is a great number to hold in your head so that you have a minimum to budget toward. But there are a lot of factors that affect costs that you should consider. The floor plan you choose, the community's location, the pricing structure, and the services offered by a community will all affect what you may end up paying each month. If you think of the types of senior living on a cost spectrum, independent living would actually fall closer to the lower end of things. That's because independent living doesn't offer care services, which usually result in a higher cost. At a lot of independent living communities, residents pay for their apartment or townhome and maybe some utilities. But it really depends on the community's specific pricing structure. Most communities use an all-inclusive, or sometimes called bundled, pricing model, meaning residents pay a base rent each month that includes all of the utilities and amenities you usually see in independent living, like maintenance, lawn care, events, meals, and 24/7 security. However, some communities might use a pay-for-what-you-need or a la carte approach, where residents pay a base rent and then any amenities or services they want are an additional charge on top of that base rent. One upside of this pricing model is it normally results in a lower base rent. The downside is that if you do find yourself wanting more add-ons over time, you might end up paying more than what you would with the all-inclusive pay model. Even if you have a good understanding of a community's pricing model or monthly rent amount, it's important to be clear on what fees you could be charged for. Some communities charge none, while some may charge multiple. I'll talk through all of the common ones so that you know what to ask about when you go on a community tour. Now, this totally depends on the community, but some of the most common fees associated with independent living are one-time admission fees, which would cover the preparation of the living space. You may also see association fees, which can be charged on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis and are typically used for maintenance, services, or special activities. Like apartments, some communities might charge an entrance deposit, which is usually refundable at the end of your resident agreement, barring any extensive damage to the living space. If you and your spouse are moving into independent living, be sure to ask about a second person fee, which is essentially a roommate fee. Not all communities have this, so it's something I recommend asking about as you tour. If you're bringing your car to independent living, like many seniors do, you'll want to ask whether there's a charge for using an on-site garage or carport. And finally, if you're bringing your furry friend into independent living with you, you'll want to ask about the community's pet fees. Understanding a community's pricing model can be pretty tricky to do online, so I highly recommend touring the community where you can get a good glimpse of what it's like to live there and ask clear questions to someone who knows all the ins and outs of what goes into each bill. There are 4 key questions I recommend asking so you can get an accurate estimate for what independent living will cost for you specifically. The first question I would ask on an independent living tour is, what is the pricing structure? Knowing whether the community is all-inclusive or follows an a la carte approach will give you a better understanding of what initial costs may be as well as the costs down the line. The second question you should ask about costs when touring independent living is, what fees or services are not included in the base rent price? just because base rent is, say, $2,500 doesn't mean that's what you'll see on each bill. The first bill may include a one-time admission fee, which will increase the price, or they may charge for pet rent or other add-ons. The third question I think you should ask when touring independent living is, does price vary based on floor plans and the length of the lease? This is a great question to ask if you have strong reasons to believe you'll want to stay in this community for a while. Sometimes, longer lease agreements actually bring down the price. There are also some communities out there where all the floor plans fall under the same base rent amount, so make sure you get a good understanding of how your room type would affect your monthly bill. The last question I'd be sure to ask when touring independent living is, what is the criteria for ending the lease early? Even if you fall into the scenario I just outlined and feel confident you'll want to live in a community for a while, this is such an important question to ask. Your needs or your spouse's needs may change, meaning that you may want to move in order to take advantage of the services provided at assisted living. You just never know. And having this information on hand, whatever the situation, will allow you to make financial decisions quickly since there is usually a fee involved. Knowing the answers to all of those questions should help you better predict what you might pay in independent living. If you're planning ahead for a move to independent living, or if you're an adult child just looking for options for a senior parent, I highly recommend figuring out the typical price of independent living in your state, which you can do by checking out our report, linked below. Once you have that number in your head, you can start to look at your finances and figure out how you want to start saving or budgeting. You can also check out our video on the top ways families pay for senior care in 2024 to make sure you're covering all your bases. If you're looking to move into independent living quickly, you could use our online tool, which actually recommends communities near you based on the specific criteria you enter on budget, preferences, and location. That's everything I think you should know about the costs of independent living. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or advice for other caregivers, please drop those in the comments section. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And for more information on senior care options and costs or ways to pay, visit www.aplaceformom.com. Thanks for watching.